The meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the October 23rd, 2023 City of Asheville Board of Adjustment meeting. My name is Paul Wilczynski and I'm the chair of this board. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that is governed by the North Carolina General Statutes and the city's Unified Development Ordinance. We are authorized to hear requests for variances from the city's Unified Development Ordinance, also referred to as the UDO, appeals from final determinations made by city officials charged with enforcement of the city's UDO, requests for reasonable accommodations, and other requests as may be provided in the city's ordinances. Our first agenda is the review and adoption of the minutes of the September 25th, 2023 regular meeting. Since those minutes have not been posted, we're going to postpone that one until the next meeting, in which we have at least one case. We now begin the evidentiary hearings for the cases listed on the agenda. In hearing cases, the board conducts a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decisions. These rules are different from some other type of land use decisions like rezoning cases, which are legislative in nature. This board's decisions are constrained by the standards in the city's ordinance and the facts presented at the hearing. The board hears and considers evidence presented at the hearing and applies the standards set forth in state law and the city's ordinance. The board must base its decisions upon competent material and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preferences or opinions. Participation is limited. The meeting is open to the public. Everyone is welcome to watch. Parties have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Witnesses may testify as to facts to which they are competent to testify so long as those facts relate to the legal standards. In addition, lay or non-expert witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, this board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts on traffic safety. For variance requests, a 4/5 vote of the board is required to grant a variance. For all other hearings and matters, including the adoption of the minutes, the decision will be made by a simple majority vote of the board. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. If you intend to provide testimony, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. In our first and only variance, the petitioner, Warren Sugg, P.E., representative for Cohen Esri Development Group, is requesting a variance to the aquatic buffer standards in section 712-2F3A, aquatic buffers post-construction of the Unified Development Ordinance, or UDO. The petitioner is seeking relief from the post-construction aquatic buffer impacts to provide adequate drive aisle width and ADA pedestrian connection to the area of safe dispersal for the proposed senior living project at 157 New Leicester Highway, pins 9629-70-3496 and 9626-70-0376. Rick Ledford, Senior Plans Reviewer, will be presenting the case this afternoon. Is that me?
You get to pull up to here. Yeah.
It's on the
There we
second
go.
tab.
Sorry.
It's on the second tab.
I think she means this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Blue button. Next to the slide.
That one. There we go. let's see here. So the post-construction 30-foot aquatic undisturbed buffer is what here to request a variance from. The mitigation actions that are needed are listed here. There is a permanent impact that is proposed where they have to make the adjustments for the drive aisle, but they have taken actions to provide twice the amount of area at another location along the non-impacted stream buffer area that
Mr.
would
Hunter, can I
provide.
interrupt you just for a second?
Yes, sir.
For those of us who may not be as acquainted with aquatic buffers,
Yes, sir.
obviously you are, could you sort of translate that into English?
What the aquatic buffer technically is.
Yeah, what you're saying. I
Okay.
didn't really understand what you're saying.
Certainly. So in the city of Asheville, our streams, we want a riparian buffer. It's to protect against pollutants getting into the stream. It helps to dissipate energy from stormwater runoff. It also provides an ability for that water to cool off before it gets into those streams. It is measured 30 feet from the top of bank on either side of the stream. So there's a 30-foot undisturbed buffer that we require on our urban streams. And, you know, our post-construction stormwater rules, we want that to be maintained. We don't want any permanent disturbances or any hardscape in those areas because it doesn't allow for those actions to happen. So in this case, they're going to have a disturbance there because they're piping the stream. They've received their 401, 404 permits from Army Corps of Engineers and DEQ to install this pipe to carry that stream through the property to make it more developable. The problem that they've run into, and I'm going to pull up this right here. So you can see here on this example, they've delineated the buffer around there, and they also show down here in the green highlighted area where that impact is post-construction that would still have hardscape area inside that buffer. The hatched red area at the top is where they have provided additional mitigation, twice what the amount of the hardscape impact is in that green area. It's further up on the channel, but it's providing twice the amount of mitigation as to what's being impacted inside of the green area there. Does that make sense, what we're talking about with the riparian buffer?
Sure. So the fact that they're providing twice the mitigation, was that a requirement or was that their choice?
Yes, anytime that we've granted variances or exceptions, it's a 2-to-1 swap. So if they can't get around or if they can't provide the proper mitigation, the allowance has been to give them a 2-to-1 area somewhere else that they can provide that mitigation to protect the stream.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, is that in the UDO or is that informal?
It's in the UDO.
It's in the UDO?
Yes.
Okay.
And so then going back, you know, we've talked with them, we've looked at other options, we've sat down twice with them to go over different, you know, designs and things. But the problem is with their ADA requirements and having to provide the area of safe dispersal, this site is topographically challenging. It's fairly steep going in. They don't have the ability to provide ADA access down to New Leicester Highway. So they have to provide the area of safe dispersal within the property itself.
I hate to keep saying this, can you define area of safe dispersal?
That is a building safety requirement, building safety code. So if there's an emergency within the structure and they have to get out so emergency personnel can get in, they have to provide an area where those folks that are being displaced can go and gather and stay out of the way of emergency personnel and stuff.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The other thing that they've done, their stormwater elements that they've provide additional treatment and storage above and beyond what is actually required for this project. So that is helpful in the fact that it helps to keep that water that's running off from this site clean. So they've done the additional mitigation, and they provided a higher level of stormwater treatment and control.
So this is a higher level of stormwater treatment and control than you require, or a higher level?
It's higher than what we require.
I'm sorry.
It's higher than what we
It's higher
require.
than what you
Yes, sir.
require.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board? Thank you.
Sir.
Very much. Okay, Mr. Sutton, you have a presentation
Warren Sugg with Civil Design Concepts. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. Rick did a good job of kind of summarizing where we're at. I'll give you a little more background. This is a CZ, which stands for Conditional Zoning, was the original project here. So this project went all the way through City Council and got approval for it. You know, in retrospect, maybe we should have asked City Council to talk through this part, but I missed it. I didn't give it the due respect that it should have required of like City Council. So you guys have that opportunity to look at it. A little more background as to why we're at where we're at is you have a stream, you have those buffers. When you're piping it, as Rick mentioned, you have that left and right side that have 30-foot buffers. Also what happens is, and in the case of this you can see it, is where that pipe ends, where you've now constructed, now you put a half circle back on it. And that's really why we're before you. You'll notice that none of our impacts are to the left or the right of it. It's on the end where the half circle is then made. So that's an area that's already impacted because of the pipe that's put in, the head walls, all that. And now we're trying to stay out of it with as much impervious as we possibly can. We have revised the plan to get down to almost dead minimum parking, almost a 1-to-1 for the senior units that are here. There's 141 units, and we're trying to stay a little above that because we figure they may have a guest every so often. So those green areas are a little bit of a drive aisle, which we have thinned up. We've got it at 20-foot drive aisle, and those are 18-foot spaces. I don't feel comfortable from a professional design to get any skinnier than that on the drive aisle because that's a car backing out, older folks trying to maneuver as best they can. I just don't want us to go any thinner than that. And then the other one is the sidewalk, as mentioned, that's taken us up to the ADA path. I'm happy to answer any questions you like about site design, you know, while we're before you, but I really would appreciate you guys' leniency on this. I think we've met well with staff and worked through this to the maximum extent practical. And I'm happy to run through the exact wording that I put in the application if that's important.
Any questions from the board?
I do. Hi, Mr. Sugg. Nice to see you.
Hello, how are you?
I am assuming that you're holding that wall location and the parking because of a setback or because of a buffer or something?
And if,
To clarify, it looks like it's on the east side.
so on the east side, that is a cut wall. Cut wall represents where you're having to go down in grade. So you've got a slope and you're trying to make it flat. Cut wall is on the high side. So we have to hold back that dirt. And then on the fill side, which is the stream side, that's where we're putting a wall in to hold up dirt. So if you think about it, slope like this, I'm cutting out a section here, using that dirt to go over here to try to make a flat, parkable surface.
So the setback is basically to facilitate constructing the wall on the property with geogrid or whatever might be used? Okay. How many square feet of impervious surface is actually in the buffer as proposed right now?
So square footage of aquatic buffer temporary impact is 855 square feet. That is the orange area that's a little hard to see here, but it's actually the physical temporary construction area so they can put up that fill wall side. it'll happen, there'll be laborers down there doing what they need to do, and then it'll go back natural. The permanent linear footage, you actually have square footage, permanent square footage of aquatic buffer impact is 25,950, which is the whole pipe, but
Oh.
when you look at the green areas, it's only 572. Because we had to tell you what that 299 linear foot of 401-404 was.
And that 572 square feet is why we're here today for the variance?
Correct.
Well, now let me ask you this. This little half circle thing has gotten me before as well. And if you were to culvert a stream and build a road on top of that, is the thought that you would have to widen that pipe to allow for 30 feet of buffer on either side and then build your road with impervious surface?
So luckily, it's my understanding, and Rick and Nancy can confirm, but I think a true perpendicular crossing, so if all you doing was just a roadway, then you can put in a culvert and those head walls, and those 30-foot semicircles could somewhat overlap, and that would be acceptable, and I don't believe that I would be in front of you. Is that a correct statement?
That would go through so under the table of uses for post-construction, we have allowances for certain types of elements or certain site improvements. One of those is specific to a road or it would be a road, sidewalk, transportation corridor, and those are considered differently than parking lots. And so we have an allowable path through the exception process with our stormwater administrator to take those through an administrative process instead of coming through the quasi-judicial process.
And so they got mitigation approval for the 2-to-1, but because of the impervious surface, that's why we're here for the variance.
Yes.
Got it.
And the 2-to-1 is an advisement based on the standards that are set forth in that post-construction table of uses, that if you did have a true road, then that would require that 2-to-1 enhancement and replacement of the post-construction impervious surface area that is still in that buffer of the overlapping arches.
Those are all the questions that I have.
Just out of curiosity, what would you do if the request were denied?
If the request was denied, and I'm going to paint as succinct a possible path as I can, if you deny this and we go below the parking that was in the CZ, I think I would have to go back through the whole CZ process. I may get some leniency from staff and city council, but I can't be guaranteed that. The conditions that were written with the project said that we would have at least 141 parking spaces to be that 1-to-1. So I would be out of compliance with the CZ.
Okay, so the initial effect would be that you would have less parking, that's
Correct.
that's,
Because effectively you would lose the whole area up there. If we're not gonna, well, maybe you wouldn't lose the whole area, but you'd have to get rid of all the parking spaces that are on the lower right-hand side. You'd have to move the whole road, that 20-foot road, over out of green, and enough room to also bring the sidewalk with you, and you might get 6 spaces, 7 spaces up there, but I would probably be deficient by 8 or 10 spaces.
what does the UDO say about the number of parking spaces for a development like this?
You want me to-
It was defined.
So for 1 and 2 bedroom spots within the city of Asheville, it's minimum of 1 parking space. For a 3-bedroom, you have a minimum of 2 parking spaces. I don't remember the exact breakdown of 1, 2s, and 3s here, but
Okay, so 121 meets that requirement?
141.
140, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, there's 141 units here.
okay, and there are 141 parking spaces? Is that what you said?
We are currently at 144 with this layout. So I could lose 3 spaces and not be out of compliance.
Okay.
We had a 141 version as well, but it was more impact to the stream than this one was, so.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment? No one from the public, so is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. No?
I feel like they have tried really hard to get out of this stream buffer. Looks like they realigned a lot of their parking in order to get it out of the buffer and get the wall out of the buffer. And they already got the 404 permit, which is, no small feat in and of itself. So I think 572 square feet of impervious surface. It's probably as good as it's going to get.
I think it's good.
Is there any other discussion? Board members, when I say your name, please say aye or nay. Ms. Gotzi?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Wise? Ms. White?
Aye.
And I say aye. The request for the variance is approved.
Thank you all.
There is no other business this month. If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Are there any